This is Shadows in the Peaks, a Legends of the Five Rings actual play from Stories with Dice. If you're enjoying our actual plays, please subscribe to Stories with Dice so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to rate and review us. It really helps others discover the podcast. Follow us on social media to stay updated. You'll find the relevant links in the description of each episode.
It's us again. Welcome to another Legend of the Five Rings session. So, I'll introduce my wonderful, wonderful crew. I say my. They decide they want to kind of join me. As always, we have a wonderful, and I'm trying to think of an adjective for you, Marco. Amazing, wonderful.
Keep going.
You know.
Don't stop now.
Amazing editor. Throwing in all sorts of things.
All right, fuck off. I'm going to edit that out now anyway.
Fuck you.
Hello. I'm playing Kitsune Akira. Yes, and I think I upset some folks in the tea house last session.
You did indeed. Upset them? No, I'm sure it's fine. We're also joined by Tony, and we have to it's now going to be an on-running joke, the sexy Spanish person.
Of course. Always. I will always be known as the sexy Spanish person.
Hi.
Hola.
When we go visit Tony, we'll find out, right? It's not a problem.
It's all a matter of taste.
And then Scott.
Hello, and unlike Marco, I know he upset people in the tea house last week.
And then,
Snowflakes.
Of course,
they're just
Charlotte.
so sensitive.
Hey, Charlotte.
Hey, yeah, some people can just be so rude sometimes.
No, just it's terrible, right?
Not Kitsune Akira.
No, not
Sound
at all.
right. A mantis being sort of like...
He wasn't the
British.
one. He wasn't the one who told someone to fuck off.
No. Rude, these Ronin, honestly. Not real samurai, you know. Well, without further ado, let's get back to where we were. So, yeah, you kind of stopped off at a tea house, which was the Lower East Road tea house. You met a bunch of people, the lovely lady who was looking after the tea house, and while you were there, you met a couple of Ronin that were staying there. One that was all quiet and sort of broody and wearing sort of like light and grey robes, and another guy who was writing poetry. You end up speaking to the guy who was writing poetry, and he told you he was a sword master, but he was also an artist, just on a bit of a pilgrimage. Then you tried to speak to the other guy who was not particularly friendly, and you got into a bit of a tussle. It turns out that he was a Ronin Shigenja, and after a brief tussle to him, he ended up leaving.
Running away, I think, is more accurate.
Running away, retreating tactically. While screaming. So that left you and a very embarrassed tea lady worrying about what you were doing, and I believe you kind of then started to query and quiz her as to what she was talking about, because she obviously didn't want to tell you who you were until you threw your wonderful magistrate's papers to say, actually, we're working for the Dragon Clan. And then she fessed up that she was trying not to be a blabbermouth because she was a dragon, and you guys were not. But I believe
that's when we decided to burn the tea house down, right?
Well, I think that's when Agasho Yama basically was like, I'm not really sure if I actually trust everything you're saying. So we kind of left off with that. So Madame Hotani is sitting there with you, the older sort of like lady. She's looking particularly distraught that you are magistrates, and she didn't pick up on that. She's also very distraught that there's been a disturbance in her tea house amongst wonderful samurai like yourself and nobles, and that dastardly Ronin, how dare her for letting you in. Right, well, I guess Agasha Yame, what would you like to do? Well, what would you like to say?
I think I would like to suggest that now that we've had some entertainment, food, and excitement for the evening, we should probably make to our rooms and start preparing for tomorrow.
She is more than happy to get your rooms, plus extra comfortable bedding and anything you require for your whatever your evening routine may be. A lot of samurai have sort of like a specifically ritual routine that they go through to sort of take off any armor, any items. And at the point of you deciding to turn in for the night, there'll be other sort of servants and stuff to help do that for you if you so wish. I know we had a bit of a quick chat after the game. Most of you were saying you weren't traveling with a party of people or any kind of retainers, really. So it means that you're having to do stuff yourself or rely on other people's servants and peasants to do things for you. She's more than happy to do that. She's, of course, very apologetic for everything that's happened and is happy to make up your rooms and will take you all to bed with a very nice cup of tea.
A bath.
And a bath, yes. There is a bath room out the back where you can bathe.
That would be me.
Yeah, it's a big communal bath. You can all sort of share it. And
Like an onsen or?
yeah.
I'm not going to bathe. I'm just going to go straight to my room and meditate. I need those void points back.
Okay, that's fine.
Hiroshi will bathe.
Okay. Yeah, people will help you bathe, and we'll go through all the rigmarole. If you want to stop and if you've got any kind of skills that allow you to gain void points back, feel free. If you want to use meditate, tea ceremony, anything like that, you can do. And if you have got tea ceremony and you would like to do that, then if you wish to do it with anyone else, then obviously you'll have to kind of work together to do the tea ceremony. But yeah, Marco, if you want to meditate, you can make a meditation roll.
I have an emphasis on void recovery for meditation, so I'm going to select
Okay.
emphasis in the
Fine.
in the roll here. Wow, I have a 35.
Nice. Okay. So, cool. What's your meditation?
My rank?
What rank is it? Yeah.
2.
Okay. So your target number was 20, which is fine. That is fine. You gain 1 point of void. You would need a rank of 3 to go up to 2 void points.
Yeah, well, I only used 1, so that's perfect.
That's fine. So that's okay. So yeah, you sit and meditate for an hour or 2 before bed, and you gain those back. So Charlotte, did you say something?
How do we recover spell slots?
You just have to sleep. You just have to rest and sleep. It's fine.
So like nothing mechanical?
Yeah, I mean, there is. I'm happy to just kind of, once you've kind of spent a bit of downtime, you can meditate, but you don't have to make a roll for it or anything like that. You just take some time out to sort of relax, and then, that's fine.
Gotcha.
Because you only have so many spell slots per day, so essentially when you've kind of rested and stuff, then it's done. Okay, well, the evening goes by, and you are awoken in the morning to some servants sort of moving around you, sort of making sure that you've got a tea and some sort of little cakes to sort of wake up to. And again, you do the same thing. If you've got sort of like any kind of ritual or way of doing stuff, you normally get up, you wash, you bathe, hands, feet, that kind of things. Do whatever rituals you would have, depending on your clan, and then essentially be prepared and ready for sort of like, most samurai are probably up by about 9, and they probably awaken, sort of like 6 or 7 in the morning. So they have a couple of hours of doing things. It's not usually like, normally don all your stuff and then just leave. That's kind of irregular. You actually have like a set way of doing things. It might be slightly different for you, maybe, Marco, because you are slightly different to the rest of them. So you might have a slightly different way of doing things. You might be up, kind of just very loosely get dressed, that kind of thing, and then go about your business, whether that's like having breakfast or going out to do some exercise or whatever.
Yeah, I will do some exercise, then I will bathe, and then I will put all of my accoutrements on and meet these folks downstairs, I guess.
Yeah. You also have, if I remember correctly, you've got a carter, haven't you, that you use?
I have a what?
Is it a carter that you've got? Or no, wait, I think it's Tony who's got that. Just trying to remember if one of you have got that. No, I think you've got it. So you have this sort of like set routine of doing things. So I think yours is like Strength of the Mantis. So yours is an air.
Yes.
A carter, so you kind of like probably practice that every day. That's kind of something you probably do just as a way of centering yourself. And so you probably have, I think, Strength of the Mantis is you being able to, so it's about firing and being, so it gives you an attack penalty for ranged attacks. About others are in melee, so it's probably centering yourself, understanding where the arrow's going, that kind of thing. And I think Tony has got one as well, which is probably a bit different. But I imagine that Kakita Hironobu, I assume, being a duelist, you're probably up in the morning and one of your rituals is to go through a set carter and do sort of training.
Yeah, I practice quite a bit. I think that's fair to assume that, I wake up in the morning, one of the first ones, and when they are done, I'm already sipping my tea and I had the breakfast, but I probably have spent already 1 hour practicing.
So at the back of the sort of tea house, there is this little path, and at the end of the path, there is this small sort of like koi pond, and it would be a good place to sort of practice. It's quite out of the way, and you can meditate and do whatever you need to do. And while you're doing that, you can see the other guy that was in the tea house who is there, and he is sitting watching you as you go through all your forms, and he appears to be scribing something on his scrolls. Okay. Anything else, Scott, you'd like to do, or Charlotte?
Hiroshi's morning routine is largely focused around caring for the horse. So he'll wake up just before dawn, wash, dress, go down, feed Bakufu, take him out to walk and get him up and exercise ready for the day.
Can you describe your horse?
He's a largely pure white stallion with a small blaze of grey down the front of his muzzle. Stands at about 7 hands high, so about a sort of fairly standard size for a unicorn steed.
So easily a couple of hands higher than the usual Rokugani ponies that they use?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's quite a visible...
Quite impressive specimen horse.
Yeah.
If you've seen him amongst other unicorn steeds, he's not particularly spectacular, but in the Dragonlands, where very few of them are seen on a regular basis, he's pretty impressive.
Well, the morning goes well, you have breakfast, and you need to decide where you want to go. I think last session you decided you were going to go to the Watchtower as the first thing you want to do, which was to the south. Or alternatively, you've got Early Dawn Forest, the shrine, to the north, and then further north you've got the East Road Tea House, the upper East Road Tea House, and then on to Shirozero, which is the main castle where the issue is.
I thought they told us to sort of start our investigation at the Watchtower.
They did.
Yeah.
But if you want to follow the orders, that's fine. If you don't, then you can go anywhere you want.
I think Akita Hironobu would probably stick to the orders, and would probably insist in going today to the Watchtower, and if necessary spend another day on this tea house. I think we should be very thorough on our investigation and follow our superiors. I will say this in a very serious tone.
Well, it's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours up into the hills, and the lower, sort of like the upper mountain area where the Watchtower is. So that's a fairly straight run. Did you say you think you also might want to spend another night in the tea house?
Perhaps if we don't have time to move to the other one.
Yeah, if you're going to go to the Watchtower, by the time you do whatever you're going to do in the Watchtower, you'll probably be able to make it back to the Lower East Tea House for another night staying here and then moving on to wherever you want to go next.
Everyone agrees?
I think so.
Kira is in agreement.
So before we get started, like once everyone gets mustered to prepare for the trip, I will tell them to please give me a moment. I want to go discuss something with our innkeeper. So then I walk back into the inn. I find her, unless she's like on the porch or deck.
So if you're leaving, she's pretty much, thank you very much for coming. She's bowing and she's doing all the things that she should be doing to make sure that, these powerful samurai just leave her in. And she's already kind of annoyed that things have happened and it hasn't been easy. And so for some reason, you're going to remember her. So presumably everybody else has kind of like been pushed out and they're kind of like, oh yeah, no, have a good trip, thank you very much. You have to go back. She looks at you sort of like, okay, my lady, how can I give service? Will you bless the tea house?
We shall see. Please let us move to more private rooms where we can discuss.
She looks at you very suspiciously but says okay, and she takes you back into the inn and takes you back to sort of like a quiet part of the inn. There's a sort of like a small, it would be a conference room now, but it's kind of like just a little private room for sort of like meetings. And she says, how may I help you, Great Phoenix?
I feel last night you were not completely honest with us.
What do you mean?
And that bothers me.
I would never lie I would never lie to you now that I know that you are working for the Kitsuki.
And that is where I have a problem. You would not lie to us now, but you would have lied to us before. And what were you lying to us before?
Well, of course I would. I would need to honor my clan and honor my family.
What have you seen? What have you heard? I want it all, and I want it right now. And at that point, I will make a bit of a motion to just summon a little bit of a flame. I'm going to say I keep little strips of paper in one of my pouches that I will grab quickly, throw it up in the air, and let it catch on fire as an unspoken acknowledgement to what may or may not happen to the building if I catch her lying again.
That's fine. I'm happy to do that. You don't need to roll for anything. Yeah, you summon the fire kami. There is a fire already here anyway, so it's easier for you to do that. You essentially just pull the fire from the fire kami. Yeah, and the flame engulfs it. This kami kind of appears. What does your fire kami look like?
Good question.
Put you on the spot there, Sean.
I would say that it would kind of resemble like a playful flame from illustration, like a rounded bottom with like little fiery hair or whatnot, with a little bit of an inclining of like facial features like eyes and mouth, but like not formed, just darker reds where the flame might be cooling.
That's enough to scare the living hell out of her. She sort of like goes straight onto her knees, straight down, head pressed against, well, almost your feet, and she says, "Great priest, I would not keep you anything. I mean, what would you like to know? What? And she's sort of like, I'll tell you anything you want to know."
First thing that I would do is kneel down, tell her to get up and help her to her feet.
She feels really weird that you're touching her and like picking her up. It's a very personal thing. And she's like, "Okay, I'm sorry that, you have to pick me up. I've really offended you."
Stop apologizing.
And she's
etiquette has no place here now.
She has no idea what to do with this in any way, shape, or form. She sort of looks at you. Now, all the time you've kind of like spoken to her, she's kind of looked at your sort of chest, sort of like upper shoulder area. At no point has she ever looked in your eyes in any way, shape, or form.
Eyes up here, babe.
She looks in your eyes. She looks utterly terrified. She's thinking, "Oh my God, the samurai is going to snuff my light out." Not only that, but the Shugenja is basically going to call all the lords and all the gods on me. She's like, "What would you like to know? What?"
As you're aware, we are here on orders from those higher than us. We are looking for individuals who may have a darkness around them. We need to know everything that you have seen that may pertain to that. I know you've seen it. You don't miss much, I'm assuming.
I see lots of things. I can tell you lots of things. A darkness? Well, probably there have been less samurai traveling. There have been less people traveling.
I mean, it's wintertime. That is to be expected.
Yes, but less than you'd expect. And there have only been a few. There has been one specific. He has a dark countenance, and he has stayed here and travelled up and down this road. I do not know his name. He is a dragon samurai. He specifically wears the mon of the Zurai family, and he gives off this strange, I want to say vibe, she doesn't use the word vibe, the strange countenance that well, I do not trust. With everything that's been happening, I have my ear to the ground, of course. I mean, purely for the clan. I need to know this, and I can give this information to, of course, to anyone who requests it from my lord's family. But yes, there is a dark person that seems to come and go, which I have nothing else to describe. His armor is maybe a slightly darker green than I would normally expect, but he is... I don't know. His family crest, which would normally be over his heart, is not over his heart. It is on his shoulder. And not his sword arm either. It's on the other arm. And the family crest is cracked. It's a gold inlay, but it is cracked. That is the only information I can tell you of this person.
When was the last time you saw him?
Maybe a week ago.
Does he come here on any kind of schedule? Are you expecting to see him again in the next day or two?
He has, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been a regular visitor, maybe once a week. He has gone south to the watchtower, and he has been to the north, to the forest. He gives me a funny feeling, my lady. And she sort of like bows her head again.
I will return the bow. I appreciate your honesty. I wish it would have been a little bit sooner in our acquaintance.
She sort of like looks down, and that is my failing. I am very sorry, my lady.
All right, well, let's not make a habit of this.
Yes, yes, my lady.
Now, where would you like me to bless your inn?
Anywhere you would like. She'll happily let you bless her, and then she's sort of like, anything else to hurry you out of the tea house as quick as possible is her aim. And she doesn't really sort of like doesn't make it any kind of like, she doesn't hide the fact that that's what she wants to do. You know, she packs all your bags, she has everything ready for you so that you're ready to leave, you know, including the whole, oh, here, take this, you know, bamboo cup of water on your way out, you know. Feel free. If she could push you out, she probably would. And she kind of like, once you all sort of leave, you can imagine that she'd be going, oh, thank God. Yes, so you end up leaving. The morning is cold, the mist has kind of started to clear, and you make your way along the so it's not the road that you were traveling along before. This is a sort of little track way that has been created. These crisscross Rokugan everywhere. It's what small groups of servants and peasants use as you kind of like make your way towards the mountains. The snow has kind of hardened over the sort of like rice paddies. As you kind of get towards the actual hills, you can see there's a lot more paddies and stuff that have been put into the hillsides. And there are people working them. They're sort of like breaking and cracking the ice, and they appear to be doing some kind of menial labor that, you know, you don't really understand. And yeah, it's only an hour or two of walking, and you can see this multi-tiered pagoda ahead of you. It's an old watchtower. It looks like it's seen better days. There are cracks in it. You can see some of the shingles have fallen off. It looks like it's not well maintained.
I just want to interject and say that anything that I learned, I would relay it to the others on our travels.
Okay, cool. You'd like to kind of discuss that between yourselves? You can do as you walk. If there's anything you'd like to say about that?
I think I'll just be pretty straightforward with the information that was given. Not looking for any kind of discussion or conversation about just, this is what I've learned. So let's keep our eyes open. This is who we might come across.
Akira will mutter under his breath, I had already established that woman was a liar.
Well, she gets one.
I've heard say that everybody does. Hiroshi will...
Is that a threat, Hiroshi?
It could be taken as so, I suppose, if one were to use it as such, but I was born to believe it was more of an idiom. Everybody gets one, apparently. It's a lion clan saying, I think, or maybe a spider clan. I don't know. Hiroshi will take point, will sort of trot up for a few, maybe 200 or 300 meters ahead of people in a scouting role, unless anyone else particularly wants to come up forward with him. Is anybody else mounted?
Nope, it's just you.
So yeah, he'll ride ahead and ride back every now and again with reports of the land and what's on the road. Particularly if he can find a high vantage point to crest a hill or so forth to look a bit further down the trail.
Yeah, so as you kind of like get towards the sort of like watchtower, you can see the crumbling structure is built into the side of a mountain, or into the side of one of the hills that are turning into mountains. The mountains are actually in the backdrop. You can see that this watchtower goes through a pass, or at least watches over a pass, which you've all seen a map, goes to Great Falls Castle, which is on the other side of the mountain pass, which apparently is a very beautiful place to go visit. But that's not where you're going. You're heading towards this watchtower. You've been told it's called Broken Fang Watchtower. And as you kind of make your way towards it, with the others sort of like 200 feet or so behind, the path kind of starts going up along the sort of rise, and it starts having a couple of switchbacks as you make your way up towards the tower. It's clearly this has been made so that anyone who's coming this direction can be seen. So you imagine that if you were standing at the top of the tower, you could see across the actual valley floor and over towards the mountains in the north. So any large standing army who would be moving backwards and forwards would be able to be spotted.
Spend a little bit of time just getting the lie of the land, and then we'll then ride back, report what lies ahead, talk about the trail, and then unless anyone particularly wants him to stay close, he will then return back to outriding.
Okay. So you're going to get there before the rest of them?
He'll probably hold off for sort of maybe half a kilometre away and wait for everyone to catch up so they all walk in together.
In that case, you kind of go up. You don't see anybody when you kind of like get closer, but you kind of like wait for the rest of them to catch up. As you kind of get towards the sort of watchtower, it's sort of like mid-morning, maybe coming up to sort of like midday. The watchtower is pretty much looming against a slate grey sky. Its walls are cracked, the banners are faded. The wind carries a strange stillness to the wind whistling through the pass. You don't hear any birds. You don't hear any rustling of any leaves. The only thing you can hear is a very faint sort of like whisper as it goes over the sort of like snow on the pass. And as you get closer, you can hear the creak of wood from the actual watchtower. As you approach, a single sentry steps out from the entrance, which is on the ground floor of the actual tower. He's dressed in a lot of silk blankets. Everything is kind of like tied up around his neck and around his shoulders. Carries a yari, which is a spear. You can see that he has got soot and dried blood around his face, and he does not look like he has washed. As you get closer, he straightens up and he says, "Good day, travelers. How can I help you?"
I will step forward, greet him, and then tell him, all right, we've been sent here by the magistrate to investigate certain happenings that are going on here. We ask that you move to the side and let us proceed unhindered.
As you say that, you see his shoulders slump. He kind of goes, "Oh, thank God. Kami be praised. I'm so glad. You're the ones who have come to help. Oh, thank goodness." He kind of like, his hand slides down the haft of the spear in a sort of like a slump. Everything that he kind of portrayed kind of disappears, and he says, please help us. Come with me." And he sort of ushers you inside.
We follow.
Yeah, we'll start to follow him.
Inside the watchtower, the interior is dim. There are all the windows are shut and shuttered. There's a couple of flickering lanterns. The air smells damp of stone and incense. There's a commander's desk which has been overturned. There are scrolls which are scattered and thrown all over the floor. There's blood and strange symbol marks all over the floor. Lots of jagged lines, what look like claw marks with blood streaking behind them. There is a gentleman who is waiting. He has got a daisho, his wakizashi and katana, and he's also got light samurai armor on. The armor is covered in scratches, and there again he is also covered in dirt and blood. He says, "Goodness, you have come." And then he kind of stands up and sort of bows and says, "I am Commander Hashino. It is with great pleasure that you have come. Perhaps you can help us."
Please tell us what happened here. And I'll say that almost like stutteringly as I'm looking around, taking in the destruction and disarray of the place.
Exactly. It looks like it's been disarrayed and pretty much destroyed from various sorts of things. He says, "The patrol's gone. No signs of them, no blood. We keep dreaming about the same thing. Peak that's been split open with something crawling out." He hands over sort of like a piece of parchment to you. "This is found in the barracks, but no one seems to have claimed to have written this." On the parchment, as you have a look at it, it says, and it's in very scrawled handwriting, "The oath is broken, the stone remembers. The wolves are watching."
You say they vanished without, like, there was no blood, but whose blood is this?
"We were attacked last night by wolves, but not just any old wolves. They were, I don't know, they seemed unnatural. They were ferocious. They bit, they rent. They took two of my troop. It's just myself and Dachi here are the only two of us that are left. It's difficult. I feel that I have dishonored my family. I have not been able to just protect this watchtower from mere wolves. I have trained for many years. I cannot believe that it was such a difficult struggle. Please." And he takes a knee.
You say they left you and your friend and your man Dashi here alive. Did you slay any of their number? What caused them to withdraw and not finish the job?
I do not know. They came. We barricaded ourselves up the stairs. You can see that the stairs are sort of like partially burnt and damaged and broken down. We set fire to the stairs and went up. so that they could not get to us. I am ashamed to say that I did not stand and die with my men.
What made these wolves different from they had normal wolves?
They had pustules around their mouths, and their eyes gleamed like a unnatural red. It's as if they have come from the Shadowlands directly. I have been on many campaigns, and I was afraid. Perhaps noble samurai like yourself would be able to deal with this problem.
Does this guy look like samurai, or is he Ashigaru?
You look at him, so he looks like he's from a minor family, and it looks like he is probably an Ashigaru who's been sort of raised, probably quite recently, to sort of like the very lowest ranks of samurai status.
Why don't we go upstairs and start taking a look around where we can have some privacy to discuss the matters?
Of course. He sort of bows low, and he says, mind how you get up the stairs. A ladder has been sort of set up to go upstairs, which has been made out of the old remnants of the stairs. So it's four stories. They get increasingly smaller as they go, the higher you get. It looks like this floor is the sort of business end of the watchtower, the commander's office, a couple of seats, and sort of like a few places to kind of look at. There is on the next floor, this is pretty much the barracks. Above that is the armory, and above that is the actual watchtower itself, place where you can stand at the top and look out. So it's not particularly difficult to sort of like see. They haven't really sort of put a lot of shoji screens in. They've kind of made it very, I guess, basic. So what you might normally see is sort of like on each floor there would have been sort of like floorboards put down, and they probably would have put like wooden walls with the screening between. None of that's there. It's pretty much an open plan. It's meant to be, for sort of like soldiers to stay here. So they haven't done anything wonderful with the place. And it looks like maybe it's not you, Ayame, maybe someone, Hiroshi, maybe Hironobu, but probably Hiroshi more than anyone else will look at the sort of like wood and the plaster and the stone that they've used. It's old. This watchtower is old, and it was probably a very good watchtower back in the day when maybe the Dragon Clan was young, but because it's in a place that doesn't really require a watchtower anymore, it's kind of like manned, by a small contingent of troops. But in reality, it's not vital to...
Hiroshi wants to wander, once he sort of had a look around upstairs, he wants to wander down to the base of the watchtower.
Yep, there's a basement.
Not especially sort of the base of the watchtower, so the ground level. And I'll let you sort of tell me what you want me to do with this one, because he's got a mixture of way of the land, animal handling, Shadowlands lore, and hunting. If Hiroshi wants to sort of try and work out what direction the wolves came from, where they've gone, and if that terrain, where he would expect to find wolves of this nature.
Okay, well, why don't you first of all, make a Shadowlands lore roll.
8.
Yeah, as far as you're aware, there's a good chance that if you have animals that are corrupted by Shadowlands taint, they would have like pustules or weird stuff around them. But it's not really your sort of thing. You've kind of heard it in passing. You've never really yourself ever come across Shadowlands creatures. You've never hunted them or anything like that, so you don't really know a huge amount about that. If you want to make a hunting roll for me, though...
Yeah, I didn't make it. I only got a 9. Yeah,
so there's a lot of backwards and forwards in the snow, but there's been a bit of snowfall, so it's kind of covered a lot of the tracks. You kind of like follow the trail as far as you can do, and it kind of goes off into sort of like the hills, and it becomes quite rough terrain, which... probably a wolf would be fine to sort of like navigate. A human with sort of like lovely slippery shoes and stuff would probably not find it easy to get along. But yeah, it does go off into the sort of like the hills, and yes, it would be a natural habitat for a wolf to have. So while you're doing that, what does Kikita Hironobu want to do?
We'll check the status of the soldiers here, strategically thinking if they can actually repel more attacks or if they are ready, and to see if there is anything I can do to kind of help them out to hold this fort, this watchtower.
Yeah, so, you can... Do you have battle by some chance? or any kind of like mass combat-y type siege engines or anything like that. So, I mean, I know you're sort of like pretty much the Aijitsu king. So, you know, if it's not one-on-one combat, it's something you probably don't know a huge amount. You would, as a member of that family, would probably rely on the Daidoji family to kind of do all the sort of like siege mastery, the kind of like defenses, all that kind of stuff. But tell you what, you've got kind of skills you have.
I only have Kenjutsu and Jujutsu at a high level.
Yeah.
The rest I'm very basic.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably not the sort of person who is the person that will go, we could probably create these kind of defenses. You've been trained in war, but pretty much from a theoretical point of view of fighting one-on-one rather than anything else. But I tell you what, why don't you make an unskilled check of intelligence for me?
11.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much can do the basics, like say to the Zu Ashigaru, you know, maybe put a door back on the entrance. You could probably use the commander's desk as part of that. If they've got any kind of like carpentry skills or anything like that, definitely it's not something you've ever been trained in to do. They could probably do that to kind of like shore up the entranceway. The shutters are all shut, which is really helpful. And it looks like the door that they had on there initially was an old wooden door that had basically seen better days. But I mean, but they've not really thinking about that.
Perhaps in a way, what I'm trying to do is to inspire them, because they seem to be, you know, lost hope. And basically, I'm trying to bring some motivation and kind of some proactiveness to the situation, so they are not just. So it's more an. So
make an etiquette or sincerity roll.
They're both the same.
Probably more etiquette, I would imagine. But I think it's the same as yeah. You're kind of portraying, you know, that noble samurai kind of. We can do this. It's all fine. You know, what would your lord think? That kind of stuff. Yeah. They're happy to sort of, you kind of like raise their spirit a little bit. I mean, the fact that you've all turned up and you're all, as far as they're concerned, you know, experienced samurai who know what they're doing. You've also got, on top of that, a priest with you. Then absolutely, you kind of explain about, you know, your battles and I guess the duels that you've fought, which, you know, even though you're a crane, clearly you're all honest to goodness samurai, right? So not only that, you also have a cavalryman. So surely things could only get better. So yeah, you kind of do that. The dragon Shigenja who's with you, in case we forget that she's there, she sort of like speaks to them and unoffers them prayers, that kind of thing, along with your sort of like bolstering of them. And I mean, the Suzumi Nori doesn't really have much to kind of like contribute, although when you sort of like mention about sort of like shoring up the doors and stuff, she does mention that, she could probably help with sort of like cutting some of the wood to size. She seems a little bit more practical than you might first have thought. And then Kitsune Akira, what are you going to do?
Well, I thought that Agasha Ayami had wanted to go somewhere in the tower to
upstairs, yeah,
to talk about,
have a look around.
Yeah, to have a look around and also to talk about the situation. So that's what I've done. I've followed her up.
Yeah, I figured like I'd probably, I guess, give people a chance to take in some of the sights and surroundings first before we meet up, just so we have a little bit more information to go on. I guess at that point, I'd be checking out some of the scrolls that were tossed around to see if there's anything of value. But like Mark was saying, after a few minutes, start to make our ways upstairs.
Yeah, so most of the scrolls are purely stuff sort of like recording people coming and going, or would be sort of like military scrolls, kind of saying how much food they have, the stores, that kind of stuff. It's all sort of mostly municipal stuff. It's, you know.
And did the guy mention where the bodies were, or what happened to the bodies? They locked themselves in a room, correct?
They locked themselves in the room when they came down from the upstairs. They were gone.
The other people were gone. And how many people was that?
So there were 6 people.
6. Okay. So there were 6 people missing.
They've been missing over a number of weeks. They're the kind of like, all they found was the occasional like weapon, or sort of like a shoe or a sandal or something.
So I want to, before we get together, I want to go into the room that they locked themselves in.
Yeah, so they locked themselves on the first floor, essentially. So they ran up the stairs, they burnt the stairs down as best they could, and hacked it down.
Yep.
So that the wolves couldn't climb up, and they basically there was no sort of like door because the stairs are just basically freeform stairs that go up into the next landing, and then vice versa, and they just keep doing the same thing. They zigzag up to the top.
Okay, so while I'm there, I'm just going to sort of have a look around.
Yeah,
that space there, and I have investigation. If
you can make an investigation roll, that would be very helpful.
With an emphasis on search.
I presume you're with Charlotte, so if you want, you can. Charlotte, if you'd like to make a roll as well.
Lots of exploding dice. I have a 62.
So you have a look around, and I mean, the place is not in a disarray. It's what you would expect from 12 seats or 12 places to sort of like sleep. This is their barracks. This is where they are. Each little area is designed to have like a little bed. There's a little futon sitting area with a writing desk and a place to put your trunk and all your kind of kit and stuff. And so it's, it's pretty much kept like a military barrack. So it's mostly tidy for the most part. As you sort of look around, the only place that looks odd to you is this one set, and you kind of have a route through it. As you're doing that, the young Ashigaru has kind of popped his head up and says, "That is Akagi's. That is where we found the note."
The one that said the stone, the wolves, that one.
Yes. It says, "The oath is broken. The stone remembers. The wolves are watching."
Is this the person he just mentioned? Are they one of the missing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is Zuro Akagi's station.
What was his first name?
Zuro. Zurui.
Did we mention, for those listening who haven't played very much, that this is a Japanese-style family name followed by given name?
Yes, we have. Yes. We've mentioned that. Yeah, your first name is your second name. Your family name comes first, yeah. Yeah, for all of you, you know that Zurui is minor family. It's not one of the main sort of dragon families. It is a minor family. Right, I mean, I guess at that point, everyone's kind of done all the stuff they do, and you kind of like meet up. Are you going to include, Charlotte, the Suzumi Nori and the Dragon Shigenja in this?
I think so.
Conversation? Okay.
Yes.
So that you all kind of meet on the first floor, and yeah, it's just you guys. The others are downstairs doing what they're doing. Okay, what do you want to say?
So this sounds exactly like what we were warned about at the start of this journey.
From everything I can tell, there's definitely what they're saying rings true with regards to the influence of the Shadowlands.
And that same scroll is near identical to the one that we had in our initial meeting, which I believe I have.
You do?
I do have it. I'm going to take it out and compare handwriting, or compare calligraphy strokes.
Yeah, so the handwriting that you've got that's the Kitsuki is completely different.
I'll pass both copies around, making note to which is the original.
For those of us whose characters may have been asleep, and because the player may not have been present, have you got can I just get the text from the first note, please?
Yes, there was an investigative charter, which I've already put in the Discord channel, so you can find that there.
I'd love you onto the Discord channel.
Indeed, you'll have to do the work. I'm not doing it for you, sir.
But it's also on the Foundry. Eh? If you go to the journal, and then Shadows in the Peaks, which is in red, and you click on Introduction, then you see that there is also the investigative charter is right there.
One thing my mind keeps going back to is the first line, oaths are broken.
What oaths?
Like, that's kind of what I'm wondering. Which of our two companions was Dragon?
That is the Shigenja. She's the one who had all the dreams, and she doesn't quite... That's where you get the prophetic fragment from.
What was her name?
She remembered. Her name
is Akari.
Thank you.
Mirumoto Akari, the Shigenja.
Akari-san, what oaths are the dragon bound to that could be broken?
She sort of like looks at you and says, "Do you not know? I mean, there are many. I mean, there are many oaths that are made between the dragon and other clans. There are many oaths that we take as dragon to our sensei, to whoever it may be. I mean, it could be anything. Although she sort of looks at the piece of scrap of paper and she says, "This is very similar to what I thought, what I dreamed, and I think that it seems that there is, as you said, my lady Agasha, there is a similarity to what was left to what I dreamed through." the wording seems the same. It feels like it comes from the same source. I may need to meditate on it, and speak with the Kami regarding it.
In fact, if we look at the investigative charter, we had to travel, and then we need to find signs of corruption in terrain, wildlife, and spiritual, which is what we did, no? The dwarves are probably in that. Retrieve any physical evidence as scrolls, we just did, and then report findings directly to Kitsuki Mitsuochi.
We're checking the boxes.
We're trying to say you're done and we should go back now.
Yeah, I was wondering, at least the Hironobu, if we look at it, because also they say, do not engage corruptive forces without preparation. My wonder here is...
We don't
Go
have
ahead.
proof of corruption. All we have is the hearsay of the two survivors at the Watchtower. We haven't seen any with our own eyes.
Did you manage to find the source? Hiroshi?
I did not know. The ground was too churned up.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate for all of you. Technically, Tony is correct. You have done everything that is required for you to do your duty. You can take sworn affidavit or sworn statements from the two Ashigaru that's left, and you could go back technically to Kitsuki Mizuochi and say, "I've done all my duty, and here we're done. Thank you very much." That is indeed the dutiful thing to have done, and you would not be questioned. That is you've done essentially the bare minimum as required. Is it the right thing? Well, is it something else you'd like to do? That's up to you to decide.
Hironobu-san, hear me out for a moment. And you might all start to notice that I'm starting to use their given names and not their family names. That is on purpose. We may have accomplished here what we have been tasked to do, but why do the bare minimum? We are in a position now to increase our status within the Dragon Clan at the very least that may benefit us more down the line. So why stop here? Why not go above and beyond? And
you stop and you sort of look at the rest of them. You hear from outside a very deep growl, and then a number of wolves howling.